Let's finish setting up our FK arms. We're just going to work our way from the top of the chain down. What I'd like to do first is go ahead and bring back our envelope objects. That way we can take care of our shoulder bones. We're going to want to take those and link those to the chest bone. So now as we move that chest control, they'll follow the way they need to. We can select our FK arm controls and link those to the chest control so that they will follow right. And by doing so, we also are going to be able to have independent control over the orientation of our arm, so that as we take that shoulder and rotate that up, it's not going to rotate up our FK control. Alright, now that that's done, we can take our FK controls and freeze them. We can do the same for our shoulder bones. Now that they're clean, what I'd also like to do is go ahead and position constrain the FK controls to the shoulder nubs, so they'll move just like our chain does, only in position, because we still want the arm, of course, to be attached. So go ahead and choose position constrain and choose the nub. Do the same for the right side. Just take care of that. There we have it. So now we can go ahead and set up our constraints between the FK arm and their controls. I'll head over back to the layer manager and go ahead and hide the envelope objects so we don't accidentally connect to the wrong bone and have to restart. Okay, so to get started here, we'll select our arm bone, choose orientation constraint, and plug that right into our arm control. Okay. Now that that's done, of course, we could do the same on the right side. Select the arm bone, go ahead and choose orientation constraint, plug that right into the control. Now, when we get to the elbow, it's actually going to be quite interesting because we want our elbow and forearm to bend the same way it does in IK mode. We get this type of additive bending from our forearm. Get some really nice movement going on there. And this is mainly so we can maintain that volume as we start to move this elbow control in the elbow. Alright, so to do this, what we'll do first is go ahead and freeze transformations on our elbow control. From there, we can select the elbow bone and orientation constraint to its control. Now, to get that additive bending, it's just a matter of adding the rotation back to the forearm bone. And we can do that with wire parameters. So selecting our control, we'll right-click wire parameters and wire the transform rotation 0 Euler XYZ X right into the forearm bone's transform rotation Euler 0x. Now it's just a matter of using that bottom arrow and connecting X to X, Y to Y, and Z to Z. This is another great thing about initially aligning our controls to the bone, so we can just have a seamless connection. So now as we select this FK control and start to rotate this, we get that additive bending. Alright, great. Now here's the issue. We have this wrist not following. It's separating. So how are we going to take care of that? Well, simple. All we need to do is take that wrist and go ahead and link that to the forearm. So now we'll go ahead and follow just fine. Now this will work here in our FK setup. We won't run into any cyclic errors. That's where we have one thing controlling another, and that works in vice versa with our connections creating this cycle loop. And Max doesn't like that at all. Things break when that happens, but we won't run into that because we're working with a separate chain for our FK arm. Okay, so from here we can select that wrist and go ahead and freeze it. So it's going to be the same process now on the right side. Again, select our elbow control, go ahead and freeze transformations. Select the elbow, go ahead and orientation constrain that to its control. Select the control, wire parameters. It's going to be 0 Euler X into the forearms, 0 Euler X. Again, here we use the bottom arrow, connect the X to X, Y to Y, and Z to Z. I think I skipped over the Y. There we go. Okay, so everything's connected. Can now just test this out. Everything's moving fine. So from here, you can go ahead and take this wrist control, link that back to the forearm, and freeze transformations. Okay, the last step is going to be to get rid of our position and also scale parameters. Go ahead and lock those. So we could start with the right side here. Just go to the wrist, head over to the curve editor. We're getting rid of, again, position and scale. For the elbow, now if you like, you can get rid of everything and just leave one axis, the main bend axis. I'll go ahead and switch this to gimbal. So the main bend axis here would be the Z. Commonly you find that in rigs, but if you wanted to have full control over the elbow, so you can even create a broken hierarchy type of animation, or broken elbow, I should say, not broken hierarchy, but broken elbow. If you'd like to create that type of animation, I would go ahead and just not lock any of the rotates. So we can go ahead and skip over the rotate, just select scale and position, and lock those. Okay, we'll do the same for the arm. Then we can take care of the left side. Alright, brings us to the elbow. Skip over rotation. And take care of the wrist. Oh, let's see here. We need to refresh that. There we go. Okay, so closing that out, we have everything set up. Just double check this, go to our envelope objects. So we take that shoulder and start to rotate that. Controls are moving just fine. Alright, great. So we have now set up our FK controls. What we can do from here, I'll hide the envelope objects again. We'll just go in and rename these FK controls to stay organized. And then by the next lesson, we're ready to set up the wrist. Okay, so again, that finishes this lesson, and in the next lesson, we'll focus on rigging the wrists.